Hey, good evening, everybody. We're going to get started here. Make sure we're live on Facebook. We are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Joe Sebastian. If this is the first time you are attending, welcome to our weekly live stream. And thanks for joining us. So we're going to dive right in. So just a little background on me, if you don't know. My name's Joe Sebastian. I've been in education for over 13 years. I am in educational leadership now. Previously, I've been a history teacher, taught APs and IBs for a better part of 7 to 8 years. I've also been a coach, hence the name Athletes in AP History. Been a coach actually longer than I was a teacher, and then transitioned into educational leadership. And got my master's and doctorate in educational leadership, and have been tutoring and coaching privately ever since. So tonight we're actually going to talk about our $1 Million Writing Guide. And I titled it $1 Million Writing Secrets, $1 Million Writing Guide because, well, we're going to see here in a minute. But this was actually an adapted presentation from the American Historical Association, in which I had the pleasure of presenting. So hopefully everyone can see that. I think we're good. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and drop some comments. And if you, I know we've got some good participants here right now, so please ask questions. We'll have questions at the end, but if you need to ask questions, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let me know who's here. Actually, I'm going to say that right now. Who's joining us tonight? Oh, hey, Jen. How are you? All right, so $1 Million Writing Guide, how learning the skill of writing the argumentative essay can make you millions of dollars. And more importantly, why this isn't taught in schools. Not saying it's not taught at all, but it's not really taught as much as it should be. So let's dive in. So let's answer these questions, right? Think to yourself, and is your student ready for the rigors of college today? Are they ready for the rigors? Are they ready to read and write at a high level, a collegiate level? Are they being asked to do that in their current courses now? Do they know what it takes to go to graduate school? Maybe bachelor's degrees aren't the only option for our students. Maybe they want to go beyond that into the medical field, get master's and PhDs, or become doctors and lawyers. If I ask them to come up with a question and answer it with research, scholarly research, could they do it? Could they do it effectively? And in AP, if they've taken an AP history course, which I assume a majority of you attending are, does your teacher spend the majority of the time teaching writing? Because 60% of your exam is going to be writing, and a lot of it's going to be the argumentative essay. So if you can't answer those questions, if you're answering no, then we got a problem. So why is it called $1 Million Writing Secrets? Well, let's start here. So this is from 2021. Actually, 2020 was published in 2021. The median annual earnings of full-time year-round workers ages 25 to 34. So just out of college, if you went to college. Now, this is the average, so it's not always the case because there's always exemptions to the rule. And you've probably seen something like this before, but you know, the average high school completion person, a student who just gets a high school diploma, the average earnings per year is $36,000. It is almost double that as in a bachelor's degree, and it's even more for a master's degree or higher degree. Okay, so over the course of 35 years, that's why I'm taking your average working life, maybe 35 years, sometimes it's gonna be more. High school, $36,000 times 35 years, that's 1.2 million lifetime earnings. If you get a bachelor's degree, it goes up to 2 million, and master's 2.4 and beyond. So it's a lot significant, it's significantly different. So obviously we want our students to pass the AP exams, but if we're going to college, which I assume a lot of us joining tonight are, think of that. That is twice the earnings. We want to make sure that they have that potential earning power. So this, like I said, is the adopted presentation from American Historical Association. I am now a doctor, so that's actually outdated. But when I presented, I was not. So I was assistant principal. I'm still one at a school district in Pittsburgh. I'm an adjunct professor still. I have my EDD now in educational leadership from the University of Pittsburgh, and I'm both IB and AP certified. And this was the presentation we gave back in 2020, I believe, right as the pandemic was starting. Teaching social studies to prepare students for tomorrow, building partnerships across K-16 classrooms. So we're trying to connect K-12 educators to college professors. And so there was a multifaceted presentation you can join. I was one of 3 presenters on the panel, and I really enjoyed my time. This was in New York City. So I started out by telling you about a story of how I developed literacy through social studies. So I have been an assistant principal. Prior to that, I was a teacher. I am an adjunct professor. I have background in curriculum writing, curriculum reviewing. I'm a coach, tutor, and consultant. So tutors are, and let's talk about developing literacy. So we're going to start with the why. We're going to talk about the urgency of literacy in education. Then we're going to go into the how, literacy-based assessments, and then the what, using APEC to become literacy teachers in history. And this is something we can talk about all the time of what we're asking our kids to do. So let's start with the why. The urgency of literacy in education. So make no mistake, our role as educators, I said this to a group of history teachers, is producing effective and engaged citizens. That is a social studies mission, right? We want effective, engaged citizens. And kind of started off with a little bit of a joke here that a very high percentage of young people aren't sure the world is round. That is concerning. That was from back in 2018. The flat earthers, right? So that is an issue if you think the world is flat when there is empirical evidence that proves otherwise. But in seriousness, let's talk about the prospective employers recognizing deficiencies in our academic skills in the United States. So one, this was from Critical Cultures of Thinking. It was a good educational book at its time. They identify writing in English was identified as deficient among 72 of applicants that applied for jobs, and written communication deficient among 80% of our applicants. That's a concern. AP, there is a disconnect. This was a study, and this actually goes against AP a little bit, but we'll talk about why AP has adapted and gone. There's been several revisions to the AP curriculums in history since this. Back in 2006, there was a study done by Harvard and University of Virginia. We found that how the courses were taught back then do not significantly contribute to success in college. And why they don't is because we take all of world history, all of European history, or all of US history, and it's just everything you need to know, everything all at once. So although that is good, it does not provide us the lens to go deeper into certain things. So they recommended an in-depth study of a few topics rather than coverage was a better indicator of success at the university level. At your higher level history courses, if you are so fortunate to have taken them, parents watching, or have taken them or students are going to take them, you know that you go in depth on certain topics. Now, that is more mirrored to the IB curriculum. The AP curriculum is different, but they have been getting better. So this was the, I believe the NCE study, findings of 11th and 12th graders, what they must possess to be successful. That is the ability to read complex texts in unsupported environments, the capacity to process, retain, and synthesize large amounts of new information. So be able to read something, process it, create something else. Significant reading experience in a wide range of content areas, and the ability to read and understand tables, charts, maps, lists, and other documents that supplement the prose in many college texts. What does that sound like? That sounds like a history course to me, a rigorous history course. So the conclusions that they found that A lot of students come out of high school without these capabilities because reading for in-depth subject matter comprehension is not formally taught in most high schools. Being taught is different from being told. So chances are your history teachers blitz through content and they assign a massive amount of reading to you every night for homework. That sounds familiar. Do you spend time did the history teacher spend time teaching you how to comprehend that topic, how to digest that material? Chances are not, because of pacing, and time. Furthermore, the US Department of Education and then the National Assessment of Education Progress saw that students aren't prepared to handle the amounts of reading and writing in college. Some college courses require students to read 8 to 10 books in the same period, in the same time it took a high school class to read 1 or 2. So we're not reading, we're not writing. Literacy goes hand in hand. It's an important skill. Good writing is an important skill. There's no substitute for the clear expression of ideas. At the heart of historical writing is an argument, persuasive analysis supporting by appropriate evidence. So this has not taken into account that ChatGPT was not a thing back then, right? AI was in development. Now we have AI that can write essays. And I was just in a leadership meeting today. We talked all about, kids are cheating with AI. And I said, I was one that was not so much worried about the cheating, because I think if a student goes to AI to write their essay, they value the grade more than they value the process of learning. AI is here, it is not going anywhere. So what does that mean for us? That means that we, the adult educators that we're having this discussion, know how to write well. We all have our doctorates. Everyone in the room had a doctorate in education. So we should know at least the process of writing. The unfortunate thing is, if we try to shut out AI from our lives and don't actually teach our kids the skill of good writing outside of AI, they'll never get the skill, because now they'll have AI to do it and they won't understand if something is quality work or not. They won't be able to think for themselves, which is one of the 7 survival skills that Tony Wagner from the first book we looked at identified. Critical thinking and problem solving. You only get to think critically is if you're build up those literacy skills. Ability to analyze information, all these things kind of go hand in hand. So how do we do it? We have to do literacy-based assessments. The chances are this only happens very rarely in English class, and English class, though good, looks at a whole different style of writing and reading than your history classes. And there is a saying that I like reiterating with our teachers: whoever is doing the work is doing the learning. So if the teacher is doing the work in terms of like lecturing and going through the process, they're doing the learning. If the students aren't actively doing work, they're not learning. So I like this cartoon. It's a little blurry, but it says, I expect all you to be independent, innovative, critical thinkers who will do exactly as I say. Telling is not teaching. So if you're being told something, lecture, direct instruction, you're not learning. You have to be active in your engagement. You have to be active learners to process the information. We all have to do something. Why doesn't this happen, or how doesn't this happen? A couple reasons I've identified. Number one, teachers don't know how to teach writing. Really, right off the bat. They don't. History teachers don't know how to teach writing. They were never formally taught. That's not to blame them. That's just the reality of it. I was not formally taught how to teach writing. I had to learn because I was teaching IB and all of our assessments are writing. If they don't know how to teach writing, chances are they don't know how to evaluate writing either. They don't have a framework to work with how to evaluate writing. So parents at home, do you know how to teach writing? Do you know how to evaluate writing? I'm going to give you a framework tonight, so stick with me. The other 2 excuses I hear: don't have the time to teach writing and don't have the time to grade the writing. I will tell you, it takes longer to grade a written assignment than a multiple choice. There's Scantrons. Students can have their exams back that day by a good Scantron machine. So that's important. So how we assess as educators matters. So if you're seeing a lot of these come home parents on the left, multiple choice tests and not enough reflection quizzes and writing assignments, then you know there's a misalignment. We use a combination of both, but that is a problem. Long essay questions. Again, this was not from AP, this was from IB. Long-term origins of the Civil War, reflection. This is, I'm asking for a paragraph response. That's a quiz. And at the time I was taking this from the Virginia Standards of Learning, but how we assess these standards are also important. Every state has different standards, and most history classes, let's say outside of AP, assess true, false, multiple choice. Does that sound like higher level learning? So this, to take this standard, which was the European exploration from a world history curriculum, traditional assessments talk about age of exploration, knowing all the basic knowledge of Columbus and things like that, to why can't we just ask these questions to our students, because they still have to get content knowledge to answer it. Christopher Columbus was the most important European explorer. To what extent do you agree with that statement? That's not an AP question. That's just a general question. Get our kids to start thinking on higher levels. Compare and contrast economic, social, and political developments of colonization efforts of 2 European countries. If you're a history teacher or you're a history student, you have to know a lot of world history to answer those 2 questions properly. Thus, everything that was on here, and I did that for a reason, can be answered through these 2 essay questions. It's just looking at it a different way, but our teachers don't do that. Where do we want our students to be? Think of this, parents. Do we want them to be in the top half of Bloom's hierarchy? A lot of students talk about memorization of facts, basic things of understanding, but one, outside of AP, we want to get them higher. That's like philosophically where we want them to be, but AP wants them in the top half, not the bottom. We need to have skills to analyze and apply that. We need to evaluate certain things, and we need to create. We're going to look at a couple AP questions. You tell me where on this level are they falling. So how do we bring our scores up? The caveat is I came into the IB classroom in 2012, was formally taught during this time between 2013, so the 2013 assessment year. 2013 assessment year was not the students that I had. So the previous year, I came in 2012, 2013 school year. So the 2014 was my first year teaching IB with another teacher. We implemented the strategies we're going to talk about today, and our scores skyrocketed over that time period. And it was actually a very, very simple framework to work through. How do we do it? To learn, students need to do something. We all learn through doing. So the term that, if you're in one of the master classes, or if you've seen this probably on the chat before, that this term of APEC, it has been called a different acronym, but we called it APEC. That's where we want our students to be. And APEC is the framework which we look at the argumentative essay. It stands for assertion, proof, explanation, connection. If you have those 4 in any body paragraph that you write, chances are you have a high quality essay. So we work within that framework, and we start day 1 in our classroom teaching that, because the IB diploma program requires it. So this question of history teachers, can we teach breadth and depth? Can we do both? So that's what AP is asking us to do. They're asking us to cover a lot and then have students go deeper on the FRQs. So just because you covered it, that doesn't mean they learned it, right? They go through a lot of content. That is the truth. This is the content I had to cover in the Civil War. So if you're in APUSH, you might have spent 2 weeks on the causes, course, and effects of the Civil War, maybe less. We spent 8 weeks. We had to know everything there was to know about the Civil War because there was 2 questions on the IB exam that they had the option of answering. So our assessments look like this. If these questions start to look familiar, it's because they're very, very similar to what AP asks us to do now, because AP has revised their question structure to more align to in-depth writing assessments. So there is content being taught here, it's just in a different way. And those were all of our assessments. So again, assertion, proof, explanation, connection. So how we taught that, this was the IB rubric, not the AP rubric, because of where we wanted our kids to get to. We used this framework and it aligned very much with what IB required to do. So again, this is the tool we teach: assertion, proof, explanation, connection. And assertion is just the topic statement that says a how or a why, and it should align to your thesis. So we actually can reverse engineer a thesis if we have 2 good assertions or 3 good assertions. The proof is the evidence that you include to support your point. Proof alone can't stand. You have to explain, you have to provide an explanation. That is your analysis. And then you bring it all home with a connection or a transition to the next paragraph. I will give you access to the literacy toolkit to people who want it. Check this out. But what is in the toolkit? We have a couple documents to help support good writing, a paragraph structure, tips for writing APEC, frameworks to work with, documents that help outline. So in the masterclass, we have specific documents geared towards the FRQs, specific FRQs. So we have a similar framework, but it's aligned to get students to get the process down for their FRQs, and then we take away the framework and then they're able to write it. So simply put, that is a good APEC outline. If you're answering an LEQ question on the AP exam, this is the framework you want to work with, because your framework is this. You have a question, you have 40 minutes to answer, you have to provide the evidence, you have to provide the thesis. So you come up with a thesis and you should probably have 2 good body paragraphs. If you put the body paragraphs in this framework, you're going to do well every time. So, and this is how we graded it. We graded it similar in that. And then how I got students to practice is, again, part of the master classes, I'll ask them to highlight what their assertion is, highlight their proof, their explanation, and it quickly becomes a self-review tool, in that if I ask them where these things are in their paragraph and they don't have them, they can self-correct. So that is why we teach the strategies, and that strategy is applicable, it's more applicable to the LEQ, but is also applicable to the DBQ. But for teachers out there, for what can you do to supplement writing? You have to practice. We talked about silent discussions. There's different ways to do it. There's different toolkits and documents to do it. But if we're not writing all the time, we're not getting any better. We have to do something. So that is why our masterclass, why I teach test prep differently, because of what we focus on for the course. So a lot of history teachers are here in terms of, like, I love AP US history. I love US history in general. I love all histories. I'm a history teacher at heart. But I love learning about the Battle of Gettysburg. I was obsessed with the Battle of Gettysburg. We spent 3 days in the Battle of Gettysburg in my high school learning about the battle. Though very important, especially for Pennsylvania history, this actually on the right gets you better at understanding something. The Battle of Gettysburg was the turning point of the Civil War. To what extent do you agree with this statement? I am on such a higher level than telling you on the first day of battle where troop movements were. Einstein said, education is not the learning of facts, but the training of minds to think. When we engage in these literacy-based strategies, we are training our minds to think. So how does it apply to your AP FRQs? This is from 2021, the US DBQ and US LEQ. The USDBQ in 2021, evaluate the extent to which economic growth led to changes in the United States society in the period from 1940 to 1970. Now, documents were provided. That is 25% of your score. That is asking you to evaluate, weigh one thing over the other, the extent that economic growth led to changes. So it did or didn't, based on the documents. If you can't write a good structured essay, you're not going to get the points. 25% of your score, your entire test score, 1/4 of your points is coming from that question alone. So you got to knock it out of the park. Furthermore, the LEQ, which is worth 15% of your score, I believe, 40 minutes, you get to choose one of those 3 questions. All of them are evaluating the extent. Sorry, there's evaluate the extent, there's evaluate the relative importance of causes. So these are aligned to the historical thinking skills in the AP curriculum, but if you can't write, you can't answer these questions. The framework that I'm giving you tonight will help you. So that leads me to this special announcement that anyone new to the channel or seen our ads, we have a masterclass where that's part of our, in terms of our guarantee, if you see one of our ads, to get you 100% ready to score a 5 on your exam, or we work with you free one-on-one until you are. So there's a major discount going on for enrollment into our masterclass. It ends tomorrow. Again, free one-on-one coaching until you are. So if you want to secure a discount, type the word 5 or raise your hand in the webinar, and I will send you a personal message. So we're going to open up the space here for questions. I saw the 2 hands. Take note of that. All right. I'm just going to get your names written down, and then I will send you a message as well. 3 of you. Okay. So I'm going to send you the message right now for the calendar link. So basically, to secure your discount, we're going to start with a just a quick call just to see if I can help you. And I'm sending it to people that are raising their hands now. So there's just a quick call. So there's your link, everyone that raised their hand. Thank you. All right, now I'm gonna lower you guys' hands on the okay. Maybe I'll give you 1, 2. Here you go. Link is being sent to you. Okay, so now anyone that has questions on the webinar, anyone that has questions on the webinar, if they want to raise their hand and ask, they can. Questions about what we talked about. Oh, I got 2 questions here. Do you help with the AP Human Geography? 2 people. Let's see, are they still here? And anonymous. Yes, we help with the AP Human Geography test. I didn't talk about AP Human Geography or AP Government. We do have both of those as offered as master classes. Just understand that the structure of the exam is different. It's 50-50 instead of 60-40. So AP histories are 60% grade coming from your FRQs, 40% from multiple choice. So you have to, and they're all in the essay structures of the FRQs are more obscure. The human geography and the government are more direct answered FRQs. So it's a different style of writing, doesn't really open up to argumentative because it's asking you to describe or explain stuff. But to answer your question, yes, we do have the master class for AP Human Geography. We actually enrolled 2 students last week in it that took advantage of our offer. So if you'd like details on that, just let me know. Right. Is one-on-one coaching work? Is it one-on-one tutoring? How frequent is it? Okay, so cool. Yeah, so the master class offers the ability to do unlimited coaching. It is different framework than your secure one-on-one because I work within the framework of a course that has different modules. And once you're done with those different modules, that helps guide you through the review. You book one-on-one calls where we then jump on calls, look at the work, look at the writing, and I give you individual coaching. So there's actually no limit in how much you have, but I will happily explain more if you want to book a call. That link is provided, and I think you probably can find on the Facebook page too. Hopefully that answers the question. Again, happy to explain more on the call, but any general questions about writing in terms of if you wanted the framework, the APEC framework, I can also send that out in the on the page too. All right. Well, great attendance on the webinar tonight. I really, really appreciate all of you joining. Any other questions before we shut off tonight? Go ahead. You can drop it at Q&A if you don't want to speak anonymously. What's the expenses? So we'll talk about that on the call if that's okay, if you're interested. I'll just drop that link there so you don't have to see it. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for joining. We're looking to book a guest next week, so look out for the continuation of the webinar. But this was $1 Million Writing Secrets, and you know the whole idea here is make sure we understand how to write a good argumentative essay before the end of high school. That will carry you on well in college and beyond. I know the biggest compliment I've ever gotten from my students was them coming back to high school during Thanksgiving break and saying how they're able to help their roommates answer written questions. So really, really appreciate everyone joining tonight. We'll post the recording shortly thereafter, but just signing off for tonight. Thank you, everyone, and have a good evening.